Hey, hi, how you doing? Prepare your maximum armor. Prepare your maximum strength. Prepare your maximum speed. And remember, Cloak is engaged. Put on your nanosuit, soldier. It's time to kick human and alien ass, because this is a crisis. I love Crysis. I love the Crysis trilogy. I love Crysis 1, 2, and 3. They are some of my favorite first-person shooters of all time. As a matter of fact, the Crysis single-player games are probably my favorite single-player first-person shooters of all time. Yes, I indeed love Crysis. There are Call of Duty fanboys out there, there are Halo fanboys out there, there are Battlefield fanboys out there. I am a Crysis fanboy, and I will admit it wholeheartedly. I love the single-player campaigns of the Crysis games. I mean, the Crysis games got a lot right. The visuals, of course, the graphics, like, it's arguable whether the Crysis games have the best graphics to be found in a first-person shooter. The weapons, the game has such great weapons too. The weapons are awesome. The Predator bow, the mic, ooh, the Scar assault rifle, oh yes. And then we have the crowning jewel of Crysis, the cover boy of Crysis, the main driving point, the main attraction of Crysis, the nanosuit. I freaking love the nanosuit. I love its design. I love the customization of its abilities. The abilities, maximum armor, maximum speed, maximum strength, cloak engaged. I just love everything about Crysis. But there are some things, objectively, if we look at this from an objective eye, that the Crysis games just got right. They got right that other video games should learn from the things that Crysis got right and implement them into their games. Firstly, and most importantly, what Crysis got right was giving the player complete control and choice. The player has complete freedom of control and choice. Despite what some people may argue, the Crysis games aren't linear games. While yes, there are corridors and narrow pathways that you must go down, they are there for the sake of connecting you to the next large, wide open area. And in these wide open areas, you have complete freedom and choice to do whatever the hell you want. There is no singular way to tackle the many combat scenarios of the Crysis games. You have combat scenarios that have a lot of cover. You have combat scenarios that have vehicles in the environment. You have combat scenarios with vertical environments. You can climb up buildings, get in sniper positions. And each one of the Crysis games has two factions of enemies. Human enemies, if it's the first Crysis, it's Koreans and the Sev. And with the following two Crysis games, it's Cell Soldiers and the Sev. The human enemies in the game, whether it be the Korean soldiers or Cell Soldiers, both are intelligent adversaries. However, them being human and you having a super soldier suit, you can easily overpower them. Overpower them, yes, but not necessarily overwhelm them depending on what difficulty you play. For many people, the definitive Crysis experience is deciding whether to go action hero guns blazing style or stealthy ninja in the shadow style when it comes to confronting the human enemies. In the first Crysis, you could hide behind a tree or in a bush, and with a silenced pistol headshot an enemy from a few feet away. Personal note, I don't know what it is. I think it's just the sound effect. The sound effect that happens when you shoot an enemy in the head with a silenced pistol in the first Crysis game, but damn! Headshots in the first Crysis game are meaty and powerful. I think it all has to do with that sound effect, though. And in the Crysis games afterwards, Crysis 2 and 3, they have the addition of stealth takedowns. You can get behind an enemy and snap his neck by twisting his head all the way around. It's brutal and awesome. And then, in my personal opinion, the more satisfying of the stealth kills, lodging a knife into their throat. The satisfaction. And then we have the Ceph, the titular aliens of the Crysis franchise. While Cell and Korean soldiers can offer a challenge, and at times could overwhelm you with numbers, the Ceph simply have power. Their weapons do more damage, they do more damage as a whole. They are far, far more aggressive, and have a variety of unique and devastating units. Fighting the Ceph, to me personally, is, in my opinion, is when Crysis is at its best, when you're going up against the Ceph. It's this powerful alien force versus one man and a nanosuit, and your ability to properly use that nanosuit and use its abilities, manage its energy at the proper times, using timing and tactics to defeat this imposing alien force just makes you feel and look like such a badass. Whether it be going in guns blazing or trying a more stealthy approach, or a mix of the two. All three of the Crysis games just offer so much player control, player choice. Yes, there are moments in the Crysis games where you have to go down a corridor or do something specific that the game wants. But those are few and far between, and they barely take any time. Most of the time is spent on you in these wide open areas, doing whatever the hell you want. You could, if you wish, the Crysis games give you this option, bypass the enemies altogether. Just activate cloak mode and walk by them, but that's no fun. What's incredibly fun and satisfying is systematically eliminating your enemies one by one via stealth. Or perhaps getting the drop on your enemy, laying down some explosive traps, and when the gunfights start, pull the trigger and let the explosions and bullets fly. There's no one way to play Crysis. No one will ever play Crysis exactly the same. Yes, that's true for almost every video game, almost. But with Crysis, it's just so much more apparent. 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, all let's playing Crysis. Let's say they're doing a let's play series on Crysis. On the Crysis games, each one of those let's players, each one of those gamers is going to be playing Crysis differently. They're going to play it with a different weapon, or maybe that weapon will have different attachments. They're going to use different nanosuit powers at different times. They're going to employ different tactics to engage the enemies. And the fact that each one of the Crysis games, 1, 2, and 3, all have these aspects of player control and player choice. And not just that, they have in each one of the Crysis games something new and different to offer, which adds just so much replayability. In a previous video, I talked about how the video game Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor got replayability right. But that was because that game had always varying scenarios with randomly generated enemies. Crysis gets replayability right because it gives you a vast variety of situations with no one way to succeed and tackle them. If you want to, you could play Crysis as a stealth-only game, not alert any enemies, and never set off the alarm. Or, of course, you could play Crysis like an action-packed first-person shooter, throw stealth out the window and just shoot everything in sight. The game never punishes you for playing your way. Other games can punish you. Force stealth upon you, or force a shootout on you. Call of Duty! And I love that the Crysis games, they give me the options. They give me the freedom to replay their video games over and over again. I can replay Crysis 1, 2, and 3 over and over and over again and never get any sense of repetition, because I can play levels my way. I can play this game the way I want to play it. I can engage enemies the way I want to engage them, not the way the game forces me to or incites me to. In Crysis, I am the player. I have control, I have choice, and I have the option to replay levels and try something completely different to what I did before. I just love the Crysis games. I love the Crysis trilogy so much. My favorite single-player first-person shooters, hands down. This has been the Gamertron. This has been the Gamertron Show. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed my Crysis fanboying out. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the Crysis games, and I hope this video showed you how Crysis got player, control, choice, and replayability right. This game just got those things right. And if you guys agree with me, or enjoyed this video, or are interested in the conversation, if you like this video in any way, shape, or form, please hit that like button. Hitting the like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved in the video if you hit that like button. Please leave a comment. Have you played the Crysis games? After seeing this video, are you interested in the Crysis games? What do you know about Crysis? What do you think of the mechanics I talked about? Do you think Crysis did what I talked about right? Do you have a different opinion on Crysis, or first-person shooters, or games that offer player choice and replayability? I realize that's a lot to comment on, but I'm sure you guys will leave some interesting comments, and I can't wait to read comments. I don't get enough comments. Please leave a comment. And finally, if you just stumbled across this video, I'm the Gamertron. I love video games. I love talking about video games, and if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to my channel and supporting me. This has been the Gamertron, this has been a video, and I will see you guys later.